Good morning, student. Today we will study digestion of the sporogonium. The sporogonium of Riccia never dies. The spores are liberated by the decay or shriveling of the surrounding outer layer of the calyptra and thallus tissue. The thallus perishes in the dry season. The spore remain behind on the soil. In this condition, they may be dispersed by wind. The remains alive for some time. Finally, they germinate with the onset of the condition favorable for the growth. Morphology of the spore. The liberated meiospore is pyramidal in shape, consists of tiny mass of cytoplasm containing a small haploid nucleus. The food is largely stored in the form of food is largely stored in the form of oil globules. The protected spore wall, which is known as the sporoderm, is thick, black and sculptured. The surface sculpturing varies from species to species. It is, however, specific and help to identify the species. The internal structure of the sporoderm is largely similar. The sporoderm, the spore coat, is usually differentiated into two layers, the outer exine and the inner intine. The intine is thin, about 0.3 micrometer in thickness. It is homogeneous and composed of pectose and cellulose. The spore wall of some species of Riccia are narrow, have a narrow intine, is a translucent and closely appraised to the innermost region of the exine. The exine contain material resistant to acidolysis. It is known as the sporopollenin. The major surface sculpturing of the spore comprises ridges and depression in the areolate and irregular configuration. Finer surface features such as tubercle or papillae ornamental the ridges or depression. The exine is thick and differentiated into three concentric morphologically distinct lamellated region. The innermost region or the layer of exine, which is in direct contact with the wall of the intine, is comprised of thin, closely spaced lamellae. It has a fibrillar appearance. The middle layer of the exine consists of a thick lamellae with electrolucent core and thick electrodense coating. The outer region of the exine is composed of distinct lamellae of intermediate thickness with a distinct electron-dense coat. The lamellae of this region contribute to the ornamental surface feature of the spore. The spore surface is usually marked by a triradiate ridges and equatorial rim. In some species of Riccia, a pore usually occur at the junction of the equatorial arm with the arm of the triradiate ridge. The pores are superficial and do not penetrate the exine. The two layers of the sporoderm developed is centripetal succession. The spore is the first structure of the future gametophyte. Spore germination. Factor affecting the spore germination. For spores germination in different species of Riccia identically remarked that the spores of Riccia crystallini enter upon no resting period and germinate in about 6 to 10 days after the release from the sporogonium. Chopra and Sood 1973 remarked that possibly there is a natural dormancy in the spores of Riccia crystallina. Cold treatment, exposure to low temperature before sowing shorten the dormancy period and increase the percentage of the spore germination. Cold treatment is however inefficient in darkness. It shows the presence of light also play an equally important role in germination of spores of Riccia. Beside low temperature, Presence of moisture is another equally important and essential factor for spore germination in Rixia. Stages in germination. A prominent pore called the germ pore appear on the outer face opposite to tiradiate mark. Thin colorless endosporium encloses the content grow out through the ruptured or the germ pore in the form of a small outgrowth. It is called the germ tubes. It is not clear whether pore formation is the result of enzymatic activity or mechanical rupture. Probably it is due to the enzymatic action. The germ tube may grow rapidly into a long club-shaped structure, but often it remains short and broad. Mostly the spore content migrate to its distal end where chloroplasts reappear. A transverse wall appears separating a large terminal cell at the distal end of the tube. Meanwhile, the first rhizoidal appear at the base near the point of the emergence from the spore. It is plain wall. Udar 1957 reported that the first rhizoidal make its appearance from the base of the germ tube where when it is one cell, it is not separated from the germ tube by septum. Chopra and Sood 1973 confirmed Udar observation but added that the formation of the first rhizoid is affected by light intensity. Under the low light intensity, no germ rhizoid is produced. It is invariably developed in the light of medium intensity. A second septum in the germ tube parallel to the first establish another cell at the distal end. Each of these two cells next divide by vertical wall followed by another wall at right angle to the first. In this way, 8 cells are formed at the distal end of the germ tube. They are arranged in 2 tiers of 4 cells each. The 4 cell of the proximal tier divide by the transverse wall. The daughter cell elongate to form the posterior portion of the young thallus. Meanwhile, one of the 4 cells in the distal end tier begin to function as the apical cell with the 2 cutting phases. It cut off segments alternatively right and left parallel to its flat cutting phase. Each from the segment thus cut off are derived of the tissue of new initial. A single apical cell of the young thallus is soon replaced by a row of apical cells. Thank you. Good morning. Today we form as a close investment around the sporogonium. The later never emerge out of it. Before the spore mother cell divide to form spores, the single layer wall of the sporogonium disintegrate. Later, the inner layer of the calyptra also break down. The mature spores lie free in a cavity or a sac surrounded by the outer layer of calyptra. There are no elaters. The mature sporogonium of Rixia thus has no diploid or sporophytic structure at this stage. The meiospores, which represent the future gametophyte, are housed in a sac provided by the gametophytic tissue. Nutrition. Unlike other liverworts, the